Hi there and welcome to the next stage of why is a horse so athletic, and today we're going to have a look at their muscle. We've already had a look at some of the adaptations that a horse has to enable it to get a lot of oxygen to its tissues. The oxygen moves from the air through the lungs, through the blood, to the tissues where it's needed to meet the really high energy demands of an athletic horse. But not only do they need oxygen to create energy, they do need another substrate. Now, glucose is the easiest thing for the horse to break down and use for energy, and it is involved in the creation of energy. So they also need a large stored glucose supply, and that is called glycogen. So they need a lot of glycogen stored in the muscle. The blood glucose only provides about 10% of the glucose required in exercise, so the rest comes from this stored supply of glycogen in the muscle. Compared to other species, especially other species that are the size of a horse, they do contain large amounts of stored glycogen. Cats and dogs, for example, also store a lot of glycogen in their muscle because they too are quite athletic species of animals. So a horse will store up to about 140 millimole per kilogram within their muscles, whereas if you compare it with us, we only store between 80 and 100 per kilogram. Okay, you might remember from some old high school science a little organelle called a mitochondria that's within the cell. This is really where all the action happens and where all energy production occurs. So horses have a high demand for them, but also have a high amount and a high supply within their muscle. In fact, if you take an animal of a similar size like a cow, a horse has double the amount of mitochondria in their muscle cells than cows. They need this energy for muscle contraction. So the more mitochondria, the more the substrates, the more energy they can produce, and all of this together is what makes the muscles so efficient. So all in all, the horse has such a greater volume and mass of muscle in its body, which is really concentrated up the high end of the body as well, so that the limbs are nice and free, but we'll talk about that in gait. So they have a large muscle mass. They have this ability to provide so much oxygen to the cells and tissues where needed. They have a large number of mitochondria. They have a huge storage of glycogen in their muscle, and we can see just how finely attuned they are to creating energy for these fast bursts of athleticism. So if you've watched the other two videos, you can start to put this puzzle together. The ability for the heart rate to increase by 8 times normal resting heart rate, and the volume of blood that pumps through the horse during exercise, the splenic contractions, now the adaptations of the muscle to have the storage of glycogen there. And what we have is an animal that is so finely attuned with the mechanism of energy conversion. Thanks for listening, and we'll go one step further next week.